Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi, this is Tammy Patzer, and I am thrilled to introduce you to Kelly McCAUSEY. I have been following Kelly for several years now, and she is the creator of Solo Smarts, and she is a solo entrepreneur or solopreneur, and her background is very similar to mine. She was a single mom with a son, and she created a business from working at home, and she had a radio show called Work at Home Mom Talk Radio, and she has developed into a fearless leader that you need to know about and learn from. Welcome, Kelly.
Hi, Tammy. What a great introduction.
Well, I'm just really thrilled. I don't know that everybody always realizes how much they affect other people's lives. You know, you're out there and you're just doing your thing, and you're actually people are learning from you regularly. And I have learned so much from you just from being someone who watches and listens to what you have to say. And I think I was at NAMS, which is an event that goes on out in the world. And I'll put a link to that in our show notes so that people can learn about that. But what's really exciting is you actually have a big live event coming up. And I want you to talk about that. But at the same time, I want you to tell everyone why live events can be an important part of your business.
Oh my goodness. So I started my work at home career in 2002. And from 2002 till 2009, I never traveled. I was a single mom. I lived in northern Michigan, and it just seemed like it just didn't fit my lifestyle to be able to go out to events. And I would watch online and see my friends go to events and feel a little green jealousy about it, but just thought, yeah, but that's just not for me. Well, my son grew up as they do. And in 2009, I went on my first trip, which was I went to NAMS in Atlanta. And oh, wow, I met people in person who I'd known online all these years, people who I had been business partners with and joint venture partners with. And it was incredible. And I was there as an attendee, but I profited from that event because people who didn't know me before, who saw me face to face and heard about what I do, wanted to find ways to work together. And so I was addicted, and I missed the very next NAMS event. I wasn't able to make it, but I made it to every other one and started going to some other events as well. It was just so powerful for meeting people. And on a very personal level, it fulfilled a really great need because I am a solopreneur. I do work at home alone. It can be isolating. And so getting out and spending time and socializing face to face is just, it really meets a need.
I absolutely agree because I also work alone. Often my sole companion during the day will be my dog, and obviously I can't get a lot of feedback from that. So the event that you're having coming up, and this is in July in Atlanta, what is it called?
Exposure and Profit.
So exposure and profit, okay, the word exposure means obviously be seen, and obviously profit means make some money. So what is going to be happening at this event?
I've actually done this event twice before, but I did it in Toronto. And it exposure and profit, I chose the names to represent that we talk a lot about content marketing. Everybody needs more exposure and everybody would like to ultimately profit from that exposure. And, there's two big mistakes made in content marketing. One is we don't promote ourselves enough. We create the content, but we don't put it out there enough. And we don't make sure that there's a call to action that leads to money. So that has been the focus of the event over the last 2 years. This year, while we will still talk a lot about content marketing, that's still like the underlying root of everything we're doing. This particular event, the theme is about relationships and community. And the idea that when you put people first, when you really seek to understand what they need and offer creative solutions that meet those needs, they are so happy to pay for it. And once you've successfully met a need, you've got their loyalty. And that's what we really want to talk about is how to do that, how to craft that. You can very intentionally craft loyalty if you're people focused.
If you're people focused. So that's the key. So the whole purpose of exposure and profit, and is this the third event or the third time you've offered this?
Yep.
So it's EP3.
Yes.
So if you're building your business around relationships and community, which is the ultimate, if you ever ask any business person, what are they ever going to say to you? How do you get your best business? What do they say? Word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we live in this online, I call it a virtual world and the real world. And we have to merge this. And it sounds to me like this event is that merging of our virtual and our real worlds. So you gave us a couple mistakes that people make. What is it that you think in terms of content marketing? You said that people, they understand that they need to make content, but they often drop the ball in keeping that content flowing or repurposing. Can you give us a couple tips on how to keep your content ball in motion so that your exposure does get bigger and bigger?
You bet. So there are people who will create really great content, but they don't promote it or repurpose it. So one of my favorite personal examples that's been really successful, I wrote, this is like last spring, I wrote a blog post about bright, shiny object syndrome, coming at it from the perspective that everyone talks about it like it's this bad thing that has to be resisted. And from my perspective, it's not to be resisted, it's to be managed, because we are entrepreneurs. We need to pay attention to new things. If we don't, we're eventually going to become totally defunct. So we need to pay attention to new things. And so I talk about, actually setting aside a certain amount of time for bright, shiny objects, and then having a process for evaluating them and deciding whether there's something to tackle or not. So I wrote this blog post and I shared it around on social media and sent it to my list, and I got a really nice response to it. So that same week, I went ahead and recorded the blog post as a podcast and published the podcast that following Monday. And again, sent it to my list, said, if you don't like to read, now you can listen, promoted it again, sent it around social media, and again, got a really nice response to it. And so then I took the podcast / blog post and I broke it into 5 parts. I recorded 5 little short 3-4 minute videos where each one makes a point about bright, shiny object syndrome, and published those to YouTube and to my blog as a 5-part video series, and each part to social media, one right after the other. So I'm hitting the readers, the listeners, and the watchers. And I'm making sure that if you're searching for bright, shiny object syndrome, whether it's Google or iTunes or YouTube, you better find me. And I have also gone on to turn that into a keynote, which I delivered at an event. So if you have a message that resonates with people, reshape it, reform it, put it into all the formats that people like to get content in, and keep promoting it like crazy. If you don't, there's people who say, "Oh, I wrote this great content and I got a really good response, but nothing really came of it." Well, make something come of it.
I love it. And I'm going to just put a little ding, ding, ding right here. Everyone, I want you to go back and replay what Kelly just said and take copious notes. She just gave you the secret of creating a massive online footprint with one topic.
Mm-hmm.
Everything she just told you, she took one topic and she listened to her audience. If you notice what she said, I got a good response from the initial contact, which I believe was a blog post or an email.
Mm-hmm.
Then she listened to what the audience said and she gave them more of the same, but she made it in a different medium.
Yep.
She put it in writing. She made it so you could see it. She made it so you could listen to it. And obviously, if she could make it into a big furry ball and hand it to you if we could do that. That is really, really good advice. Talk a little bit about the people who show up at Exposure and Profit, because like you said, when you meet these people, like me, for example, if I were to meet you, I would immediately feel as if I already know you, and I would feel very connected to you in person because I feel very connected to you in the virtual world. So the people that you meet, how do you cultivate these working relationships so that they become they lead you to profit, so that they're just not your friends, but they're actually like people who help you to grow your business?
Well, there's a strong urge to play that little game of us four and no more. Once you develop a few close relationships and partnerships. And when I go to live events, one of my best friends, Nicole Dean, we're project partners and good friends. But when we go to live events, we're very intentional about setting aside time that's just for us and setting aside time where we just don't get together. So that we can meet new people, so that we can cultivate new relationships. I'm sorry, my brain is fracturing on the question. When I'm at a live event, I'm really looking to make connections and meet new people, and I like to sit in different places, sit with different people, go to lunch and just find an empty place to plop down in, to just kind of play the field and find and see who's there. One of the things that's really important to me is I like meeting people wherever they are on their trajectory to success. So I'm not looking to just network with the big dogs. That's great if you get that opportunity. But I am just as happy to sit down and have lunch with someone who's just getting started, or someone who's, just starting to have some success but doesn't really know very many people. So I really look to connect with everybody that I can. I think some people make the mistake of trying to, quote, meet the important people. And that, that's one of the themes of of this upcoming event is that they're all important.
Right. I think you're right. And I see that you have some speakers under development. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to throw out some names.
Yeah.
And if you can just give me a sentence or two about what their magic is or what their gift to this exposure and profit event is. And the first one on the list is Lee Collins.
So Lee he's actually the husband of a good friend who's spoken at our Beachpreneur events, his wife, Natalie. So I don't know Lee really well myself, but I have been watching him from a distance on social media. He is always offering to help. He wants to give back. He actually sets aside a day of his week for giving back. And he's one of those days he actually created like a whole funnel system for someone and just gave it to them. This guy has been in the online marketing world for a really long time. He's a really well-known name for people who've been around 10 years or more. And for someone with so much experience and so much skill to just say, 1/7 of my week, I'm going to give it all away. That blows my mind. And that says something about his heart. That's why I was really excited to have him be part of this.
Yeah, that is absolutely awesome. Alice Seba.
Alice was my very first business partner. Alice encouraged me to start my podcast. I met her in 2002. We partnered together in launching Mom Masterminds, which later became Solo Masterminds. And we didn't meet in person until just a couple years ago. It was so exciting. And now she's been to all the exposure and profit events. And she does not like to speak. It's not her favorite thing. She would much rather write. And she has agreed to speak at this event. And I'm excited.
Ron Douglas.
Ron Douglas has written, he has published and sold a lot of cookbooks. He's just wicked successful on Amazon and Kindle, and he's an amazing marketer.
Paul Taubman?
Yep. Paul Taubman has been, he's one of my favorite event buddies. He is, he's digitalmaestro.com. He is a WordPress expert. He does WordPress and web development for his clients. And one thing that has impressed me about him over the years is he's just such a giver. He will give and do and serve and not worry about how it's going to come back to him. But of course it does come back because, everybody loves him. And a year ago he was able to give notice and leave his job. So I'm really excited. He's always, when he speaks, he usually talks about WordPress. And I asked him, please come speak, but I'm not going to let you talk about WordPress. I want you to talk about anything else. Because I know he's got so much to share about relationships and business building. And I just can't wait.
Sounds interesting. Crystal Collins.
Crystal Collins is a super popular blogger and social media expert. I don't know Crystal well. We have shared sushi once when she came to NAMS, and but she's just super. She's super bubbly, and she's developed a big community of bloggers. So that whole relationship and community vibe, she's going to be wonderful with that.
And then we have a couple. It's Shahar and Nashla Boyayan. I'm sorry.
They're a mother and daughter team, and they're a little bit of a mystery to me. I've never met them myself. My community director, Therese Sparby, recommended them. She says they're total spitfires and that they can talk a lot about building community around video, like creating a TV show.
Oh,
And so I'm super, super jazzed about that.
and then I have David Perdue.
David, the the NAMS man. David has been so important to me. Him creating the NAMS environment is has been really important to my business growth. And he came and spoke at EP2 in Toronto. Came all the way from Alabama to Toronto, and so he's going to come and be on a panel and be one of my mastermind advisors because I love him.
And Nicole Dean, she's your mastermind director.
Yeah. So I have invited two of my best friends to help me create exactly what I want for this event. Therese Barbie is a life coach, and she's an amazing event facilitator. She's helping me think through exactly what we want people to experience, the impact we want to have. And so she's going to be helping me with that and a big part of the event. And then Nicole, she has so much respect and has worked with and joint ventured with some of the biggest names in the business. And so I knew I wanted to provide some kind of mastermind opportunity for our leaders, for our speakers to get together. And I asked her if she would take over and run that. And she said yes. And she will be speaking, of course.
Wow. And this is just the starting lineup. You have more people coming on board. It sounds like it's really going to be a fantastic event. What are the dates for the Exposure and Profit 3?
They are July 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. That's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then there is a Monday morning mastermind. There's a VIP event on Monday, which people can upgrade to get access to that. But the main event is Friday through Sunday.
So if people want to get more information about the event to register, where would they go?
Exposureandprofit.com.
Okay. So exposure and the word and profit.com. Yeah. And I will put a live link in the show notes. So it'll be real easy just to click in and go find that. So Kelly, do you have any other advice for people who want to be solo smart? That is also your solosmarts.com is another one of your sites. Do you have any advice for people who want to get exposure and profit and, get out there to make some money doing what they love doing?
Yeah. So there are people out there who need what you have to offer. I believe there are people who are going to come to my Exposure and Profit event and get just what they needed on a personal level and a business level. And there's something you can do that is the answer for someone looking for it. If you're not putting yourself out there, you're doing them a disservice. And I know what happens is nice people feel like they don't want to pester, they don't want to be hypey, they don't want to be pushy. And you don't have to be any of those things. You just have to be there. Just be there. You can put your message out there and you can be more assertive about it. I have something that's free I'd love to tell your people about.
Okay, great.
I've been running a Stretch Yourself content marketing challenge for several years, and people have been paying to participate in it. And it's currently the guide. I sat down and made myself put it all in writing, which is not my easiest thing to do. And so the Stretch Yourself Content Marketing Challenge guide, the workbook, is available on my site on Solo Smarts, free, totally free. There's 9 different content marketing challenges that if you would take each challenge one at a time, you would stretch yourself a little farther and a little farther and a little farther. And more people would know about what you're doing, and more people and you would be getting more profit, assuming that you are touching on something someone needs. So it's like a primer. It's like an introduction and primer to content marketing. Then it gets real specific. The challenges are, tick the box instructions on how to complete the challenge. Everything from, how to refresh old content, to holding a hangout, to holding a webinar to grow your list. If you struggle with exposing yourself
in the good way,
yeah, this is get it because it's so powerful. It has changed. I've seen these challenges change people, to realize that you don't have to be there are some marketers out there, and I don't want to make them bad, but they have the attitude of like marketing to the herd and manipulating the result, and that kind of stuff kind of gives me the creeps, and I don't want to do that. But if I go into reaction to their marketing tactics, then I might just get real small and just not do anything. And that's what I think some people do. They just so resist the idea of being manipulative or hypey that they just don't do anything. And that's a mistake. So the challenges teach them how to just stretch a little bit farther without ever. You're going to leave your comfort zone, no doubt about it, but you're not going to leave behind your values and sense of what's right and wrong about how you treat people.
So this is the free guide to stretch yourself challenge. Yeah. And that's at the solosmarts.com website. And then the live event, recap the dates and times of exposure and profit.
That's July 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. That's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And that is in Atlanta, which is a nice place to have an event because it's easy access from most locations. Mm-hmm. That's what I like about Atlanta, is it's centrally located. So Kelly, thank you for being on the show today and sharing. If anything, I highly suggest everybody go back, and if you didn't take notes, go back and take copious notes, because Kelly revealed some really good information about exposure and profit during our conversation. And then, of course, go get the guide to Stretch Yourself Challenge. It's free at her solosmarts.com website. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Tammy. This was fun.
Great. This is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a great day.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.